All right, take three. Hello, everyone. I have my Wendy here. She is also a teacher, and we're going to read chapter 14 called Pirate Ship. So hopefully you can see the screen. And because I couldn't find the PDF of the book online, I typed the whole chapter and just threw it into a PowerPoint. So hopefully that works. And it's a good visual for the kids too. So hopefully I can find some pictures and try to throw them in there for the next video. So this is called Pirate Ship. And in the last chapter, Peter, he was poisoned. He wasn't actually poisoned. Captain Hook tried to poison him, and he snuck out of there. And he is going to try to save the Darling children. He's going to try to save Wendy, John, all these guys, because he found out from Tinkerbell. So we're just going to see what happens in chapter 14. So it looks like Peter, he's going to be on the prowl. He's going to try to get Captain Hook, and we're going to see what happens. So, all right, this is chapter 14, Pirate Ship. The Jolly Roger lurked low in the water like a wading crocodile. The pirates sat on the deck in the cool fog of the night, playing cards or napping. Hook could not play or rest. Distracted, he paced the deck. It wasn't that he was unhappy. After all, Peter had been removed, and the Lost Boys were soon to walk the plank. And yet, for some reason, his happiness was incomplete. Like Mr. Darling, Hook worried about things like breeding and class, what he liked to call good form. He, too, cared very much what people, especially people with good form, thought about him. Whenever he did something or wanted something, he would ask himself, is it good form to do or want such a thing? Sometimes he worried that it was not good form to think so much about good form. Typo. But Hook wasn't just unhappy. He was also lonely. As hard as it was to believe, Hook hurt. He had no children to love him. It was strange that this should bother him, but it was true all the same. In a way, Hook envied Smee, and we talked about earlier, that means jealous. Smee was the least threatening of the pirates, and yet the children loved him. Michael had even tried on his spectacles. Thinking about the children's preference for Smee made Hook angry, and he decided to finish off the boys once and for all. Are the children tied up so they can't fly away? He yelled. Aye, aye, came the reply. Well then, hoist them up. The boys were brought up on deck before him. 6 of you will walk the plank tonight, Hook announced. But I have room for 2 cabin boys. Who will it be? Which of you will come to work for me? Toodles stepped forward. I would, sir, but I don't think my mother would want me to be a pirate. Would yours, Slightly? I don't think so, Slightly said. The twins agreed, as did the others. None of their mothers would approve. Enough, Hook cried. He pointed to John. You, he said. You look like you have a little pluck in you. Do you want to be a pirate? Secretly, John had always dreamed of being a pirate. He even had a pirate name picked out, Red-Handed Jack. In a low voice, he now confessed this to Hook. Why, Red-Handed Jack is a fine name, Hook said. What would my name be if I joined? Michael asked. Blackbeard Joe, Hook said. Michael was impressed. Will we still be respectful subjects of the King of England? John asked. No, Hook replied. You would have to swear, down with the king. Oh, John said, his face falling. He could never turn his back on England. Well, then, never mind. Then you shall walk the plank too, Hook roared. The boys went pale as they saw Jukes and Seco preparing the piece of wood off which they would walk before falling into the water. But they tried to look brave, especially when Wendy was brought up. She was the brave one. She emerged from below decks wearing a dark scowl. Are you ready to watch your boys walk the plank? Hook asked her sweetly. Do you have any last words for them?
I do,
Wendy replied in a loud, clear voice.
I have a message from the real mothers, and it is a hope that their sons will die bravely and with their heads held high like proper English gentlemen.
The boys all stood up a little higher, trying to be brave. to do this one last thing for their mothers and Wendy. "Tie her up to the mast," Hook yelled, and Smee obeyed. "I'll save you if you promise to be my mother," Smee whispered to Wendy.
I would rather have no children at all.
She replied scornfully, even though she had to admit that Smee was the nicest pirate of them all. The boys tried to sit brave as they were put on the plank. In the end, however, they were only little boys, and they could not stop themselves from shaking and shivering with fear. Wendy turned her head. She couldn't look. Good job. Hook took a step toward her. He wanted her to watch the boys walk, one by one, off the end of the plank, but he never reached her. He never got to her, beg for the boys' lives. Instead, he heard tick, tick, tick. It was the terrible tick, he realized, of the crocodile. All eyes were suddenly on Hook. It was almost a sad sight to see this brave pirate captain positively freeze in terror as the ticking sound came nearer and nearer. Even his claw hung inactive, as if it too were afraid. Hook, Hook fell to the deck and crawled as far from the sound as he could go. "Hide me," he begged, and the pirates gathered grimly around him in the center of the boat. The lost boys glanced over the side of the boat to look for the crocodile, but to their surprise, they saw Peter approaching instead. He signaled them not to give any sign and kept on ticking and climbing. And that is chapter 14. We'll see if Peter can save the day to impress their mother, Wendy. Good job.
Thank you.
Actually, we should keep it elbow touch, just like that. That's good protocol. All right, boys and girls. Hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna be doing chapter 15 next. Thank you.